Seapoint here inside of my world that I have built. This is a fairly well developed establishment, and it is enough so that we actually have traders that kind of come around and boat over to here and find themselves around. It's got several structures. The structure is built for several purposes. At first, we built the structure because initially underneath here there was the dust that you had to brush off and suspicious dirt. You had to brush off suspicious dirt, and we found some artifacts and some interesting tools in there. And it led to a few more places in the world being built out because this was a rather rich site for treasures and different things that were interesting to watch, and also a launching point for a lot of the other adventures that have occurred inside of this world so far. What you see underwater is an underwater observatory. You can go inside of there, and it's built with 9x9s of glass with a door on one side that allows for an air pocket to go under there so that you can recharge your air without having to surface while you're exploring. There's a few of them around here, mostly at the other points further out once we get to actual exploring points. We've got food production. We've got several buildings that have purposes. We have redstone for future power needs. And most of those have been mined from other points that we'll get to as we go through the world and explore the different things we built. Now, we built a bridge here with a pass-through gate because after Seapoint, there was the next place over here that we built as we were going towards the direction of what are those, the spruce or the tall dark wood. And over there we also found cherry wood. And going over back that way further, we ended up finding a couple of towns and other things with valuable items, and also a couple of pillager towers that we had to take down and actually were able to reclaim in the favor. So as we explore, we'll get through there. But this place was first a little more than just a mound of dirt that was slightly underwater. And underneath there's what I find usually a lot of good resources that you can mine through. And furthermore on that, there it leads to caves and other interesting things. But we built on top of here to further the expansion and to create a place to stop over with treasures, because going to Sea Point, well, it only kept so much and it was still small in the beginning, and so we made this into a secondary base from the original house. Now in here, a cool effect kind of occurred. And what we initially turned from fortressing walls so that the zombies couldn't get in, ended up in a lot of ways, and maybe you don't see it during the nighttime as much, but it becomes a fish hatchery so that we have fish that we can just come and harvest, and it becomes a lot easier to have food on hand instead of having to worry about, oh, where am I going to get fed? How am I going to resupply? And so we've got them down here. I don't think the salmon show up during the evening time quite so much, but they are there. And we got ourselves a little hatchery down there. Now, as we get back to there, we'll get back into the house. This started as I said, a stopover, and so it was a little more than a hobbit hole, let's say, at first. But now, it's got itself a nice little bit. This first place is still rather Spartan in case you got to fight off stuff, or if creepers decide to explode and do their thing, you know how that goes. Or if not, you're learning. And then we take it down further, and this is where we get exploring and say, okay, what did this patch of dirt that was barely underwater hold for us down in the end? And a lot of times you find some really interesting digs. Now this one is still in progress, so we're not going to go all crazy for it right now. But when it gets there, that's another place we can dig down. We definitely got a lot of good cobblestone for building out the houses and getting things in place. You make them nicer once you get everything done. It's usually what the kids do, and I go ahead and dig. But they'll be back later with that one. We've created quite a few worlds. Actually, I think now at this point, it's probably time to take a nap. That way, we can explore and not have to fight our way through it. Which, we'll do it another time. That's fun. But right now, this is just a walkthrough so you can say hi and get used to the world, so that when we teach about the lore or start playing games on the world, it becomes a little more understandable from where it came in the beginning. See, look at this nice big salmon ready to be harvested. You don't really harvest the baby salmon because they grow, but they have them there, and we're not going to go back over it again, as you can see. But there are there are some pretty good buildings here where we can turn it into a good series for the adventure, and they go up higher. Now, closer to the home base, we did end up making a nether portal. We're not really too far explored on that so far, and we will get there. But this is a harbor lock. In case you end up with zombies, you have a single place where we come through, and so you can protect yourself in here while not having it spread to the greater area. And so that was one of the ideas that I brought through when we were initially building. So that way we didn't get attacked by zombies. Because boy, I'll tell you, they are rather determined to get a hold of us when we're in this world. Any world, I imagine. And this is the beginning of Seapoint. Well, the extension of Seapoint. Up here, there's second stories and floors that are filled with nice little things, knickknacks, armors, supplies. And if you have a world building on Minecraft, it's not a bad idea to build it out. Because as you can see, if you find a central point to go from, you have a place on land, you have a place on sea. And although the original point after this, after we explored the archaeology stuff with the coarse dirts, was the abundance of kelp, it sure has turned into a great place to stop over when we're going each and every direction inside of the actual exploring world side of stuff, and when we're having fun and making stories. Plenty of boats, we got the trader again, and you got to go under outside of the rain. We'll stop in here on this time instead of the other house, so you can see one of the other houses before we finish up for this broadcast. Brohenheim and Light just having fun with it. We got the crafting table, the fun stuff. Now, this one doesn't have a higher floor, but the rest of them do. And we'll check it out next time on Seapoint Part 2. Thanks for watching, folks. Check you later.